Are you tired of biased news that insults your intelligence and doesn't give you critical thinking information? Then like and subscribe to Melanated Media News, the #1 source for independent thinkers news.
Are there any famous Satanists? I don't know. It's kind of stigmatized.
There's a ton of them. Okay. So way more than anyone, literally, way more than anyone would ever suspect.
And you're not able to reveal them, or?
I mean, I can tell you some of them. You ever see the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? There's a dude named Orlando Bloom.
The black guy.
He's a white guy.
White. Yeah, with the dark hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch all that. Like, I've seen it a couple of times, but that dude owns, like, he's a open Levant Satanist. Marilyn Manson, obviously. Lady Gaga is I would chalk up to that shit. And see, here's a lot of things. You could even specifically ask them if they were Satanists, but Anton LaVey classified that Satanists are born, not made. And so you can't really help it. Like, you just are what you are when you're born, you know? And so, back in the 60s, Jane Mansfield, Sammy Davis Jr. was, like, real close with Anton LaVey. And so he was a warlock in the Church of Satan. You know, he did that Poor Devil movie. Was I think 68, 69, you know, it's like a funky, it's kind of like Bedazzled, but it's like a different one. But I mean, a lot of people would never know. So, you know, I want to open up a neighborhood outreach program for the neighborhood.
Well, there's a church literally right there.
Yeah, what are they doing over here?
Huh?
What are they doing, man? What are they doing with their one meal a month, helping people out with their $1 million roof? Why isn't that going into food? Why isn't it going into shelter? Why isn't it going into clothes? Why is it, you know, there's a million things that could go to. You don't need $1 million roof on a church.
Right.
That's a cathedral of gilded splendor, you know, which is bullshit. Like, who's that for? It's certainly not for the people that need it most. Those people aren't getting anything out of there except for maybe an hour or two out of the cold, you know, on Sunday or whatever it may be. That's all that thing's good for. And they could have bought this place. How you doing? I mean, what's good and what's evil now?
So, I mean, the common response would be, well, what about serial killers? Are they making the world? Because a serial killer technically I think a lot of serial killers think that they're making the world a better place. That's why they target prostitutes or different people like that. So,
well, no, I mean, I can see that perspective. Who they really target is those that no one's going to miss or bother. They see them as human garbage. And I don't think anyone, I think people can be human garbage. I don't think they have to be, and I don't think they necessarily, you know, like, just like a mass shooter. A mass shooter somehow gets it in his head that people aren't people, that they're just inanimate objects and they're in the way. You know, I've spent years, I was going to be an FBI profiler, so I'm super hyper aware of all, like, different aspects of it. That's what I've always studied, because I don't understand how you get, like, I can understand not liking people. I can understand being mad at people. But I cannot understand how someone goes from, you know, and I can even understand once they get there, I just don't understand how it goes from A to B. I don't understand how they get there, you know. I understand there, and I understand before there, but I don't understand what happens, you know. And I think, for my research, a lot of it's abuse, a lot of it's neglect, a lot of it is just like abused child syndrome, where they're just passing on something to someone else that was done to them, you know. And so, in that case, like, it's you hear about all this stuff going on now all the time, and I'm actually, like, I'm glad people are outing other people, because it's like, as long as it's not in the closet, there's always hope to move forward and stop that kind of mentality. But I believe all serial killers, once they get to that point, are definitely evil. And that's what I was saying before, that there's certain people that I just don't see any use for. I don't. There should no one who's a serial killer or a mass shooter or anything of the sort should be sitting in jail for more than, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, man. I think a bullet to the back of the head is how you handle that situation and just be done with it. I do believe that there's a universal architect. I believe that there is something that dictates the structure of everything, whether it be trees or your veins or wind and sand and water. Like there's a common thread in all of them, how they all react exactly the same. And to me, that can't just be like, it's not random. I don't know what it is, but so that's why I just classify it as a universal architect, because it's all, it's the same thing as the Masons. They believe that there's a structure on how things are, and they know the esoteric nature of how things are built in nature, and then they replicate it in life. That's how this building's built. It's all 17 inches thick, all the way around, brick. There's crazy rooms in there that are specifically built to hold energy, so that it generates energy for whatever you put into it. And so, the building's sweet. It's interesting, but it's not. I don't find it weird. Nothing weird has ever happened to me in here. And I'll probably be messing up my ghost tours. But even when the ghost tours come, they're like, "What have you seen?" And I'm like, "I don't see anything, and I'm here all the time."
There's ghost tours.
That's what people think. Yeah, that's what they think. And they're welcome to their opinion. I just know I'm here 24/7, and I've never seen shit.
Because you don't want to see it, or how would you know?
I would think I wouldn't have a choice in the matter. And it's not that I would do anything to see it. I'd love to see that shit. I'd be all over it, I'd be like, yeah. But I just haven't. I've definitely seen some lights in the house, but I'm not necessarily sure where they come from.
UFO? Do Satanists believe in UFOs?
I believe that there's no possible way that we're the only intelligent beings in this universe. I don't know if I believe in what people think are UFOs, but I definitely believe we're not the only intelligent beings, and I don't put it past any creature to be able to come here.
Okay, so do Satanists believe in the afterlife?
No. Today. I believe in literally this second. At any minute, who knows what could happen, man? I don't know. So we live for right now, every day. We do the most of whatever it is to get the most out of life. That's really what Satanism's all about, is getting the most out of life and being the best that you can be.
Okay, and what about the different scientific findings that saying the energy goes somewhere else when we die? And
where does it go?
Doesn't stay in the body.
Well, it doesn't stay in the body, but it doesn't necessarily go anywhere. It might just be wherever that body is. I don't believe in ghosts, but there's definitely spots in that house that got a weird feeling. When you stop on them, So for me to believe that, I wholeheartedly believe if someone is killed or, in some kind of violent fashion, I have no problem believing that they release enough concentrated energy at that point where there's a signature. But to see a personified, being walking around, the only way I can really comprehend any of that is if it's more of a time portal type situation where you're actually seeing back in time in the same place. And so, and that really explains the most to me, when they talk about poltergeists and things throwing stuff around. If someone were to show up in your kitchen in the middle of the night, you want to know what the fuck was going on, and I think it's the same thing. But we're in their kitchen, we think they're in our kitchen, but we're really in their kitchen because they were here first. And so, if anything's going on, that's what's going on. Well, I think at that point, then you're going to have to go. You'd have to go overseas. There's some there's people in Norway and Sweden that actually believe in a sort of personified Satan and a Lucifer. And I've interviewed them, and they don't like me. They don't want to hear anything I have to say because I'm all about Anton LaVey, and we don't believe in any of that. And they're like, no, they're goofy about it.
So they're from Anton LaVey's branch, or they're before him?
They are
They came after.
I think they're confused Christians. I think they screwed up their hatred of Christianity and turned it into something bad. And it's not necessarily bad because they don't do anything, but they really don't like Christians over there. They really they burn churches and shit. Their history is so much older than Christianity that they don't want anything to do with any of that. That's invaders as far as they're concerned, you know, and that's how they treat invaders. But those guys have a whole, that's not Levan Satanism. There's a whole bunch of different, I would say devil worship Satanism, which they don't classify themselves as Satanists, they classify themselves as devil worshipers. And they worship and all that is Christianity to me. And then there's Levan Satanists, where we don't believe in anything except for ourselves. But then there's also another group now called the Satanic Temple that also don't believe in anything but themselves. But they have a more humanitarian approach, I think. To me, they're just like neo-hippie atheists that latched on to Satan to kind of troll people and get attention, is what I see them as. And I've mentored those guys. You know, they're both in my phone right now, the guys who run that organization, you know, and they've done some sweet stuff, man. They fight for women's rights, they fight for gay rights, they fight for a bunch of stuff, like, you know, but in my organization, at least, we don't fight for anyone. Like, we only fight for those people that are willing to fight for themselves.